Welcome back to the STEM Career Accelerator. I'm Bobby Sass, and in this lesson, we're going to talk about why momentum is the key. Motivation becomes momentum, so we've got to get ourselves motivated first. And the key with understanding how motivation plays into your career transformation comes back to the three-step system: purpose, practice, and expertise. Purpose is related to motivation, and here's how. Our core values are at the center of our purpose. And we use our purpose to motivate ourselves by finding what our fundamental beliefs are. These fundamental beliefs are, of course, connected to the core values, and that is what drives our fundamental reason. Our fundamental beliefs drive our fundamental reason for doing what we are doing, for undertaking our career transformation. This also relates to priorities. We motivate ourselves by knowing the hierarchy of what our core values are. We motivate ourselves by setting that same hierarchy as a hierarchy of choices. Because fundamentally, you have choices. You have the choice to take opportunities, you have the choice to create opportunities. And how you set the hierarchy of your core values and those choices is ultimately how you are going to motivate yourself. If you pick motivation that is out of sequence, then you won't really have the fundamental reason that you need to push yourself forward. You've got to have the right reasons at the right time in the right order. And so that comes down to knowing what has the deepest meaning for you. That typically is what comes first, at least in your mind, as it relates to your growth mindset. The truth is, though, is that what happens to have the deepest meaning for you is often what we achieve last. So, for instance, you may feel right now you're early in your career transformation plan, early in figuring out exactly what you want to do, why you're motivated to do it, what your deep purpose is. You're starting to learn some new practices and hoping for that expertise, hoping to deploy that expertise in a new role, a new job, or just a new mindset in your current job or current role. Ultimately, that is the big goal. That achievement, that big goal, accomplishing that is what's going to have the deepest meaning for you. But that is what's going to be achieved last. So we're going to have to focus on building motivation in order to create momentum and then maintaining that momentum throughout this process to get to that ultimate goal. Motivation relates to purpose because it connects our unique skills to a sense of meaning. So if you feel like the skills that you're using in your job right now are meaningless, either you've got to come up with a deeper meaning for why you're deploying those skills, such as I'm here deploying my skills in order to create a better life for myself and my family. That could be a core value of yours, and it would also relate to the meaning behind what you're doing. Momentum ultimately is the foundation of getting results. So we start with some motivation, we start getting the plan in order, we start taking actions, and then we have some momentum. And that momentum is the basis for all of the results that you're going to get, accomplishing all of the baby steps to get to the ultimate major achievement of your top goals. And goals are a series of small steps, and we have to shift as we learn. As we take action, as we take the small steps, we're going to need to make some shifts as we go because life is a learning process. Developing a new career, transforming your life and your career is all a process of baby steps, and we've got to be flexible and we've got to be able to shift as we learn. The truth is that goals are the end result that we want, but change actually happens incrementally. Momentum is what ultimately connects up each of those incremental changes. So you make one accomplishment and it's a small accomplishment. In celebrating that accomplishment, you get to maintain your momentum to move on to the next thing. because sometimes it can feel daunting, especially if we achieve something that was really hard to achieve. Maybe because we didn't feel enough motivation at the beginning for it. Maybe because we weren't connected with our deeper purpose well enough through that process. And so it's hard to get to that, oh, I finally finished it and I still have a little bit of momentum for the next thing. But you have to constantly renew your motivation, renew your understanding of what your deeper purpose is, understanding the core values that are driving all of this. And that is what is going to connect up each of these incremental changes. We have to have goals to get what we want. Without a roadmap, without an end point, without knowing the destination that we want to get to, without knowing our desired outcome, we're not going to get there. But we need momentum to achieve those goals. One of the best ways for us to achieve the top goals that we have and to achieve the small goals that we have is to use visualization. So I want to talk you through some visualization techniques. The overall approach to visualization comes in two types. We visualize the end result, or we visualize it step by step. And in the step-by-step process, that gets broken down further, but let's first talk about the end result visualizations. In order to orient ourselves towards an end result, the visualization techniques are essentially seeing yourself succeeding. So you visualize, and visualizations are best done closing your eyes. If you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, breathing, resting your body, going into those meditative type of states, and then focusing on seeing yourself in that successful new place in your career, seeing yourself at work, seeing yourself in your new job, seeing the people around you, seeing the way that your friends and family act around you now that you have finally achieved the goals that you wanted to achieve. One of the other end result related visualization techniques is creating a vision board. And a vision board is essentially a board where it could be as simple as a statement, and then you put a bunch of sticky notes or cards around it. And those are all of the motivational things. Those are all the little parts of it. Maybe you want to put a photo up there of a tropical destination that you're going to take yourself to because you're rewarding yourself for accomplishing what you want. Maybe you need to put up a dollar amount there because you're targeting a certain salary. Maybe you need to put up there the amount of time you want to spend at work. If it's 40 hours a week, or if you want to work more, work 60 hours a week, whatever it is, you put that onto your vision board. But ultimately, seeing yourself succeeding, putting everything out visually onto a board is about turning your thoughts into beliefs. So the most effective visualization happens when the technique turns the things that you're thinking about. So you're thinking about yourself succeeding, but the visualization eventually becomes a belief that you are succeeding. So the goal is to start getting that sense within your own mind and body that your thoughts are actually becoming beliefs. This is the truest way in which you can connect deeply with your purpose, maintain momentum, and actually achieve those exact results or very close to them of what you're visualizing. But remember, visualization is part of the goal setting process. It's part of momentum, and you have to have some flexibility and be able to shift. So if there comes a time when your visualization isn't working, you're feeling emotionally negative about it, you're slipping out of your growth mindset, your abundance mindset, your positive mindsets, and you're going back into a fixed mindset, you're starting to think negatively, then maybe it's time to really reassess your goals and reassess how you're visualizing those goals. Because those are cues, those are signals to you that something needs to be shifted, something needs to be adjusted. So the second general type of visualization techniques are the step-by-step type. And so the step-by-step oriented techniques are start with trying to find a trigger, not a negative emotional trigger, but a positive trigger. And in order to develop this trigger, I suggest that you focus on using your five senses. The most important one of our five senses is the sense of smell, because smell connects us to our past memories. And if we can find a smell that connects to a happy past memory, if we can find a smell or a specific body movement, those are the sorts of triggers that you want to use in your visualization technique. So if you have a favorite smell or a new favorite smell that you want to associate with your visualization, with achieving your awesome end result, then maybe you can find that in an essential oil, or if it's a flower, grab the flower. If it's a food, have the food, and have that smell present while you are doing your visualization technique. Or if it's a specific body movement, be in that body position, make that body movement as you have your visualization running in your mind. In order to start your visualization, go back to that happy past memory, because that will put you in that happiness zone. It'll bring your joy up. It'll increase your endorphins, hit you with some dopamine, and you will be engaged in those positive states. Then you start running your visualization. And then what happens is you can bring up that happy past memory and it will automatically click your brain over to start in the visualization process. So you'll actually connect your visualization to that happy past memory. Also have a place. I call it a visualization nook. So it's a special place. Some of us have a meditation area that we have in our home, and we go to that specific place. Some of us go somewhere outside that's secluded and alone, and we go to that place. Have a place that you go to for your visualization so that you can be in that same location as you're running through your visualization, and your body will naturally connect your five senses to that location because there will be smells associated with that location, there'll be sounds associated with it, there'll be temperatures associated with it, all those things that we can sense. And if you go to that same place running that visualization, your body again will start to associate it. And whenever you need to return to that visualization, go back to that place, and your body will start to, and your mind will start to click over and get right back into that visualization. Instead of a whole vision board, you can have a vision note card. So it's literally just a lined note card that you can write out a vision statement on. And you can have those as smaller breakdowns of the overall vision board. So you ultimately want to reward yourself after you get the job with going to that tropical location. Just write that down on a note card. Go on tropical vacation after I achieve what I wanted to achieve. Right? I mean, use the elements of the SMART goal setting system: specific, measurable, authentic, so on, and actually write those onto the note card. And also in your visualization, rehearse future scenarios. So you'll actually want to sit in that quiet space, close your eyes, and think of what future scenarios you will actually be in after you achieve your end result. So think about the people, the places that you will be, the things that you will be doing. Think about those future scenarios and keep running through them. Keep creating new ones. Because the more of a life in your future that you create in your mind, the more you'll be able to actually move towards it. Because the more specific it comes, the more motivated you feel, and the better able you are to maintain your momentum through what can be a challenging process, the career transformation process. In these visualizations, face your fears. Face the worst case scenarios that come up for you. Also, face the best case scenarios, because when you look at the best case, that's how you're going to build hope. That's really where motivation comes from. But in facing your fears, you can then juxtapose that and say, okay, well, my fears are based on the worst case scenario. So what is the best case scenario? And we tend to naturally start to move towards the best case scenarios, and we become more hopeful. So sometimes by leaning into those fears, those darker places that we don't want to go in our mind, leaning into that a little bit can help us to actually move away from it and move towards hope. Turning the tables. And what I mean by this is put yourself in somebody else's shoes. That's the most typical way that we turn the tables. And so if you're unable to visualize yourself doing it, think about somebody else who has been successful in achieving the type of goal that you want to achieve. Think of them and pretend that you are them. Pretend that that's what you are doing. And then positively reframe any negative things that come into your mind. Create a new frame of mind for anything negative. So when you're in that visualization, if you feel the doubt coming in, if you feel the negative inner critic coming in, use reframing techniques to move yourself away from those thoughts and keep yourself positively focused through your visualization. And if you need to take a break from the visualization to go back to looking at your deeper purpose, to look at the growth mindset tools that I've taught you, go back to those and then go back to your visualization after you feel comfortable and ready to do some positive reframing. The next key to momentum is that each incremental step ultimately needs to end with some sort of celebration, some sort of reward for yourself. We have to celebrate the wins, both big and small. How do you do that? Celebrating and rewarding ourselves is not something that many of us do very easily, or we do it too easily and we don't think consciously about it. We don't really connect those rewards and those positive things that we give ourselves, or we think that they're just too everyday, they're too mundane to be a reward, too mundane to be celebrated. Some techniques are to say it to yourself. Say, Bobby, you did a great job doing that today. Well done. Congratulations. Celebrate yourself. The other thing is to give yourself self-care. And that could be actually taking that bubble bath that you've been thinking about taking, or to go exercise, or to have a more balanced meal. It's funny to think of those things as a reward because sometimes we're like, oh, well, really what I want to do is I want to eat a bunch of junk food. Like that's how I celebrate the fact that I've made so much progress in getting myself into better shape and becoming fitter, right? So I'll have a cheat day. It's actually better if you do it the other way, especially when it comes to food. If you feed yourself with something that is healthier, then it really does help to improve our mind-body connection overall, which puts us into a more motivated state, which allows us to maintain our momentum. However, I'm not saying that you can't, reward yourself with your favorite dessert or something like that, but there is some level of moderation that we need to have in mind if we're going to do something like, imbibe alcohol or those sorts of things. We don't want to derail ourselves. We want to make sure that we enjoy what it is in the moment that we're celebrating, but not go overboard. So some level of moderation with things that can impact our bodies negatively is definitely needed. Also, tell your friends, tell your family, tell them that you've accomplished this thing. In fact, if you want a little extra accountability, tell them before. Tell them that, hey, I'm going to give you a call and I'm going to tell you about how well I did in achieving this goal, or taking this small step, or finishing this small task. And then do it. Give them a call. Go see them. Another way to celebrate is to pay it forward. After you've achieved something, if your achievement was to make a higher salary, then help somebody out financially or make a small donation to your favorite charity. It is rewarding to reward others. It is a celebration to celebrate others. Lean into your creative arts. Maybe it's time for you to actually do that painting now that you've cleared out the kind of difficult thing of taking that step towards your new career, and now you want to reward yourself by saying, you know what, I'm going to take that time to actually start that painting. And then each time you finish one of the tasks towards your career transformation, you go back and you work on your painting. Or you dance and you do a happy dance, literally. I love to dance, and so that's a common way that I celebrate and reward myself. If I'm alone, who cares? I'll go ahead and turn on my favorite music, turn on my favorite song, and I'll dance to it. And that is one of my favorite ways of celebrating myself and my accomplishments. Give yourself a gift. You can literally wrap up a gift for yourself in preparation for you to achieve your goal. that is a heck of a way to maintain motivation and keep your momentum moving forward, because you can literally look at that wrapped gift. It doesn't matter that you know what's in there. It's the anticipation that matters. It's that, oh, when I finish this, I get to open that and I get to celebrate myself and I get to have that thing. Socialize. I mentioned, calling friends and family. Maybe it's time to go have a dinner with them. Maybe it's time to go to a cocktail hour. Maybe it's time to go to a tea party. That is a great way. And we think of these as, for social people, for extroverts, we think of socializing as just a natural thing that we do. But make it as part of your celebration reward process. Because if you naturally like to do it, then why not use it as part of your reward system? Gratitude meditations are also excellent for this. If you haven't tried a gratitude meditation yet, get on YouTube and just search gratitude meditation, and it'll take you to a whole bunch of guided meditations that will help you to focus in on why you're grateful for what you have just accomplished. For bigger things, plan a special trip or a holiday. For smaller things, take a local trip. Take a trip to your favorite park. Take a trip to your favorite farmer's market. And for a big thing, plan that tropical holiday and go have it. Go celebrate on that holiday. Instead of a vision board, create a celebration board to go next to your vision board. So your vision board can have celebration rewards on it, but if you actually say, on your vision board, you put the big goal in the middle of it, and then you have all of the rewards around it for all of the small steps that you're going to take. And that every time you accomplish them, you have an idea of the types of things or exactly what you're going to do to celebrate and reward yourself. And you can visualize it on an actual board. Make it a sort of ceremony. Ceremonies don't just have to be for weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs. Ceremonies can be small things. Make it ceremonious in the way that feels good to you, that feels important to you. And spontaneity. Spontaneity can be dangerous in this process because you need to plan to be spontaneous. And I know that seems like an oxymoron, but you have to actually plan to say, I am just going to be spontaneous. I'm going to spontaneously do one of the things that's on my celebration board. I don't know which one it is, but the way that I'm going to celebrate this task is I am just going to let myself do whatever I want, whatever I'm motivated, whatever I want to do in that moment. I'm going to look at my celebration board and I'm going to do it. Sequencing is how your career transformation plan actually gets done. Sequencing is a logical process. It's about telling a story and breaking it down into the individual parts of the story. It's about something simpler, which is just scheduling the tasks out. And at its core, it is a way to maintain momentum. So setting the sequence also comes down to diagramming it out. And this is a step-by-step process that we're going to diagram. We need to understand what resources we need in order to achieve our goals. So we have to sequence out each element, each task, but we need to know what resources need to be put into place. That comes down to people. You are a resource to yourself. I am a resource to you. Whoever else you need to be a resource, friends, family, colleagues, whomever, have those people listed out in the sequence in each step. What products will you need? Do you need a notepad? Do you need a pad, a computer, a tablet? What services do you need? You have coaching services, but are there other services that you need in order to achieve what you want to achieve? Are those services related to the celebration, to the rewards, or the products related to the celebration rewards? So how do you do it? How do you actually sequence things out? It starts with the inputs. The inputs are your purpose and your mindset, the SMART goals, especially your top goals. And this should look familiar if you've worked on the career transformation plan. Monthly milestones. We want to especially focus on the early monthly milestones because in those first 2 monthly milestones, you will hopefully have broken down weekly tasks, weekly goals. And then you need to think about who can help and what can help you to achieve what you want to achieve. And the tools and the techniques associated with how you're going to work those inputs into a sequence is you start with a list, and then you move to a web diagram, and then you identify the outcomes, and then you move from a list, which is just a linear way of looking at things, and a web diagram, which is kind of a scatter way of looking at things, and then you put it into a flow chart, so it becomes a logical sequence in a flow chart. And then you get out your calendar and you put each of those important items, each of those tasks, step by step, day by day, onto a calendar. What comes out of that is that you then have a daily schedule, you have an accountability framework, you have a way to assess things, you know what you've accomplished, and you know how to celebrate it. This all comes down to action. Organization that is sequencing is nothing without action. So ultimately, you can come up with the best plan, but if you are not implementing that plan, if you are not keeping yourself accountable, if you are not seeking external accountability to make sure that you are taking each of those actions, then you will get no results. Great organization is key, but it is even more fundamental that you actually take action. You have to act on each part of the sequence in order for the puzzle to come together. And you have to assess your progress. You have to actually tick off each item as you have accomplished it, and then you need to evaluate it. And if you download this week's worksheet, it will walk you through this logical process. It'll take you from understanding how to put your inputs in order, and then give you the tools and techniques and the diagrams that you need, and help you to assess the outcomes. I look forward to seeing you in the next session.